Open unto me. Open unto me light for my darkness. Open unto me courage for my fear. Open unto me hope for my despair. Open unto me peace for my turmoil. Open unto me joy for my sorrow. Open unto me strength for my weakness. Open unto me wisdom for my confusion. Open unto me forgiveness for my sins. Open unto me tenderness for my toughness. Open unto me love for my hates. Open unto me thyself for myself. Lord, Lord, open unto me.
Welcome to this gathering of Journey Imperfect Faith Community. My name is Christina and I'm a journeyer. You are welcome here in this virtual gathering, no matter your politics, your background or beliefs, your skin color, your sexuality, your nationality, the state you're in, what you struggle with, and what you have joy around. You are God's beloved. Wherever you are and whoever you are in this moment, you are welcome here. I invite you today to consider how you can give financially to Journey and its work in the world. We give away 10% of the money that comes in to people in need and causes that advance our missions of compassion, justice, and spirit. If you have any questions about Journey, please go to our website, journeyifc.com. Today we are continuing our series called Rise Up with a gathering called Savor. We've been through a difficult year this year as a nation and as individuals. It is tempting to stay in fear, to think mostly about surface level things such as our plans, our immediate concerns, the people or things that irritate us, our to-do lists, and so on. And of course, the news. But the Bible makes it clear that what we seek is to be found in quiet places, inside us and around us. God can be found in tasting life, savoring life, being present, the food you eat, the air you are breathing, the deep feelings within you, the things that you can see, smell, taste. I ask you to stop wherever you are. Let's relax and let's savor the moment we are in. Open your hands, your mind, and your heart. Let's breathe for a moment, opening ourselves to the presence of God's loving presence. So take a deep breath with me. Let's do another one. One more. Again, welcome to this gathering. Amen.
Well, all right. Now it's time for me to tell you all what you've done wrong since I last saw you. And don't try and hide, because I'm Jesus. I will find you. Let's start with you, Peter. You lied to your mother the other day. Andrew, you said a naughty word when you hit your finger with the hammer. James, you laughed at him when he hit his finger. Moving right along, John, you drank too much wine the other night. Not way too much, just enough to make me angry. Matthew, we fell asleep in church, didn't we? Yes, we did. And Thomas, you were slow dancing a little too close with that girlfriend of yours. Let's see, and you, I forgot your name, so you're off the hook for now. Philip, I saw you smoking a cigarette behind that big rock the other day. Thaddeus, I hate to say I saw you stick up your middle finger at someone who cut you off when you were riding your camel. Benjamin, you aren't wearing your WWJD bracelet. Jacob, I don't mind you saying my name, but not after you stub your toe. And Frank, you know what you did. I just can't repeat it because I'm Jesus. All right, all you sinners, come with me. It's time to pay the piper.
Man, it was only one cigarette.
I heard that.
Hi, I'm Ethan, and I'm a journeyer. This is a passage from the Jewish holy book called Exodus. God led the Israelite people out of slavery in Egypt into the desert to find the promised land. The people were worried that they would not find food or water. God said to their leader, Moses, tell the people, at sunset, you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am God, your God. That evening, quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared in the sand. Moses said to them, This is the bread God has given you to eat. God said, Everyone is to gather as much as they need. Take a measure for each person you have in your tent. Everyone gathered just as much as they needed. The people of Israel called the bread manna. It was white like coriander seed and tasted like wafers made with honey. The Israelites ate manna for 40 years until they came to the promised land.
to be more consistently here, you know. I'd like to really get on a, I'd like to just, and I know it's not probably ever maybe possible, but because it's so improbable and so impossible, I'd just like to really see how long I could last as being really here, you know, really in it, really alive in the moment, you know.
Go ahead. So you want?
So I'd like to just be more here all the time, and I'd like to see what I could get done, what I could do if I really didn't cloud myself with automatic, you know, if I were able to not get distracted, to not let to not change channels in my mind and body, you know. So I were just, you know, I'm my own channel, you know. I was just really here and always with you, you know, that you could look at me and go, okay, he's there, you know, there's someone there. And I could, you know how it is when you look in the mirror, you don't think about it, but you look in the mirror and you go, oh, sure, there's that guy, you know, and you catch yourself like what you were, the state you were in when you looked in the mirror, you know, and then you can make a face and kind of toughen yourself up or handsome yourself up or whatever you do. But when you catch yourself in that mirror, you see the state you're in, you know, what, like, are you happy? Are you sad? Are you confident? Are you rosy? Are you beleaguered? Are you here? You know, and most of the time you're not. You're just like, oh. It's almost like you want to look away because it's like, that's not me there. That's what I'm doing right now, but that's not necessarily me. It's all contained in your body, you know, everything you got. You know, your mind, your spirit, your soul, your emotions. It's all contained in your body. All the prospects, all the chances you ever have. It's that wish to, you know, it's a wish, right? It's really a wish. So, you know, you gotta dream, not dream, but you gotta wish big. You gotta wish big. And I'd like to see what I could do. I got a sort of a drunken phone call from a friend of mine's sister, who I really like.
Yes.
But she was so charming and she was so lovely, and she just kept saying, you have no idea how much you could do, Bill. You could do so much. And I've never had anyone talk like that. And it was funny because it was like a drinking phone call in the middle of the night. And I listened to her for 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes while I was sound asleep. But it was really like it came from the other side. You know, it felt like it. It was sort of like a, you know, a voice that was sort of intoxicated, or like a, you know, one of the you know, the visionaries, you know, a visionary speaking to you in the night, coming on in your dream. And I hope to remember that kind of thing. You just try to remember those things, that encouragement, you know.
Creation is God bringing things into being. If you like, it's the oomph behind the isness of everything that is, and it's constantly there. It's the utter aliveness of God who's holding all this in being, and we are tiny little peripheral dots on it, and it's holding us up. So I think that, you know, for me, what creation looks like is it's to do with the power of God holding everything into being continuously, and therefore it's utterly, because God is utterly without and beyond time. It's for us, our only access to it is as something that is present.
How do you get access to creation, and what is?
Well, you get access to creation by being created. Mm-hmm. That is our access to creation. The term I use for it is it's a weird term, but it's secondarity. It's discovering that we're not the kick-starters of everything. We're not self-starters. This is the wonderful thing about creation, is discovering that we're secondary, and that's not a put-down. That's actually the rather delightful freedom of not having to run everything, not being in charge of everything, but yet discovering ourselves free to make a real difference in the middle of things. But that's something that is, that's something that's permanently contemporary, and that God is longing to help us break into something less futile and more glorious. Those being the two terms that the Hebrew world understood with relation to creation, which is that creation, if you like, which doesn't acknowledge God, is turned into futility. So everything that is kind of not quite arriving at where it could get to, not quite getting there, not quite having a point. That's the world of futility or vanity, which it refers to in the Hebrew Scriptures.
Does creation falling in on itself like break God's heart?
Well,
versus opening up?
God is so busy introducing wisdom into our world. Wisdom is the reverse of futility, and wisdom is the notion of everything being orchestrated and held together in an extraordinary variety of ways so that it actually shows up the glory of God. So it's when you see, yes, this makes sense. This is all to do. This points to something bigger than itself. It gives away God's glory, and those are the two feelings: the oomph and the yes.
Oomph and yeah. Those are theological terms.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the I think we can all identify with that. It's not quite working. I'm kind of disappointed. And the yes, and that yes is praise. That's what it is. Praise is when we find ourselves aligned with a sense of everything that really is, giving glory to something bigger than itself. So that's the notion of, if you like, God holding everything in being. And part of the problem with the account of atonement that you're giving is that it relegates creation to something that happened at the beginning, and to which we now don't have, let's say, trustable access, because creation is now so fallen, according to that account, that we can't really rely on our feelings, our knowledge. We can only rely on what the Bible says. And of course, that's a terrible, if you like, despisal of creation. And it's not at all. It's not at all Orthodox or Catholic Christianity.
How is it not?
Well, by having radical, radical depravity of creation, and none of our feelings or what we think is good being trustable at all. It means basically saying God had a junked creation. I mean, whereas the notion that everything that is still wants to give glory to God, it needs unscrewing up. But the whole point of grace is that grace perfects nature. It unscrews us up. But it is us who it unscrews up. It doesn't say, that was a failure, now I'm going to create the beta model, starting completely afresh, and the beta model is going to have no organic link with those. But no. And any of our conversion experiences, when it's real, is not that person is completely dead. It's, oh my God, I'm now becoming who I really was, which is quite different from what I used to think I was. But that's an organic process. So that shows that that's creation and redemption being done by the same God. So I think that's hugely important. And that's always contemporary, rather than creation being relegated to something in the past to which we only have access through laws. But that involves something that's much more difficult to manipulate. It's much more difficult to manipulate if the whole purpose of Christians is that they should discover themselves in the presence of God, in the present. They should discover themselves, we should discover ourselves undergoing this being called into being by God through Jesus, who's come into our midst to say, yeah, you get involved in all these crazy things. But I don't hold you against that. Come on, let's see if we can have a party. What I really want is party. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but what's salvation?
The us coming alive and being made safe, secure, full, whole, and healthy, all of which are other words for shalom, which is what salvation is all about in God, so that we actually share the life of God as fully human, become brothers and sisters of Christ, alive with God. That's what salvation looks like.
Do you ever feel like you're not present in your own life? I caught Bill Murray saying, you know, you look at yourself in a mirror and you think, who was that? And what you're really seeing is how you were in the moment when you were looking in the mirror, but it's not you. It's not the you that's in here. I don't know if you've ever had that feeling, but to look in a mirror and think, who the hell is that? That's a thing. That's real. You know, The Matrix, the movie The Matrix, takes that idea a step further and says nothing that we're seeing in the world that's around us is real, because it's been manufactured so that we'll all behave ourselves and be copper top batteries and power gigantic cities that robots and machines and artificial intelligence have created for their own survival. The Bible says it a different way, which is that we are created in the image of God, and that the bodies we're in are the bodies that God has created, and that to be in these bodies, to be alive in these bodies, means that we are what the Bible calls a living creature. So a big part of how to live in the world is to figure out how to live meaningfully in our bodies, and to figure out how to stay connected to the earth, the sky, the plants, the dirt, rocks, leaves. I think that in some ways the pandemic has caused us all to be a little less connected to our bodies, because what we're focused on is, how do I make sure my body is not in touch with any other body, any other person, any other person in public, people's germs, any residue or leftovers from their bodies. It's very isolating. But in a sense, it's only a supercharged version of the isolation that we all experience all the time in our culture, which is that we are living in our brain and not in our body. We are on our smartphone, and we're on watching TV, and we have 9 million channels, and we have Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and on and on and on, Disney Plus. We have all the sports channels. We have all of the internet and all of our smartphones apps. And I like watching a good TV show or a good movie. I'm not railing against that. What I'm suggesting is that if I spend too much time focused on a four-cornered screen, like you and I are right now, I'm looking at my phone, which is recording this talk, and you're looking at a screen where you're experiencing this virtual gathering. If this is how I spend the majority of my time and my focus, if this is what I'm focused on, and I'm not paying attention to what's happening in my body, I start to drift off, and I start to worry, start to be afraid. Excuse me, the manna in the wilderness story from Exodus is a story that repeats themes all the way through the Jewish and Christian scriptures, including Jesus, who talks about how you worry so much about what you'll eat, what you'll drink, what you'll wear, whether you're going to have enough, whether you're going to have enough for tomorrow, much less a year from now, a decade from now. Jesus comes from a poor culture, but he's very interested in the idea that we are way too preoccupied with worry over whether we're going to be okay. You wouldn't think that somebody who comes from a subsistence culture where many, many people don't know where their next meal is going to come from, or if their family will ever be able to go back to their own land or their own farm or their own part of the world because they're part of this gigantic empire. And yet, it's not that he says everything is going to be fine and we're all going to live forever. What he says is you can't add a minute to your life by worrying. And so, be in the day that you're in, right? The Lord's Prayer. Give us today what we need for today. Give us today our daily bread, which harkens back to our daily manna. The Israelite people are enslaved in Egypt, where there is plenty of food and plenty of security. Job security, right? Job security. Have you ever felt like you were trading security for enslavement? Have you ever thought, oh my gosh, what have I given up in order to have all of this abundance, or even just this TV channel, or speaking of TV channel, just this, program? What am I paying for? I remember when I was a teenager, my first job was at Barbie Quick, which was a local barbecue place in Corpus Christi, where I went to high school. And I got paid minimum wage, which was $1.75 an hour. And I remember one day I was working in the summer, and I was working 40 or 45 hours a week, and I went to Burger King or someplace and realized, oh my God, I just traded an hour of my life for a burger, fries, and a Coke. That exchange of goods and services, that exchange of me, my time, that hour I would never get back for a burger, fries, and Coke, that never left me. That's all the next, 50 years, 45 years have that has nagged at my head about the disconnect that we have between being in the body and being in the world of money and plans and getting it all figured out and security. The people of Israel are miserable in slavery, and Moses says, great, let's go out. Let's leave slavery. And almost immediately after they leave, when Pharaoh's army, the king of Egypt's army, is coming after them and the sea is in front of them, they start to panic and say, this whole freedom thing, we don't want that. We want to go back. And we have all been there, have we not, brothers and sisters? I don't like this after all. I'm terrified. But God says, Moses says, can you give me some help here? And God says, just tell the people to be still. I will fight for them. Look back at Pharaoh's army, because you're never going to see them again. Now turn and walk into the water. And God parts the water. As these people continue, the food that they have brought with them from Egypt, from their slave quarters, from their little houses, from their huts, from their land of Goshen, which is the part of Egypt that they live in, as they're traveling along, their food runs out, and they start to panic, and they think, we're never going to eat or drink again. Moses, did you have to bring us out to the desert to kill us and have us buried out here in the sand? There weren't graves in Egypt? The graves in Egypt were nice. This stinks. What kind of God is this that you brought us out here to go and encounter and learn from and follow and worship and whatever else? This is an ongoing tension in the Exodus story, which some scholars and teachers and preachers have over the years used to shame faithful people by saying, if you don't have faith, if you don't trust God, if you don't know that God's going to take care of you, then you're bad and you don't deserve, and you're terrible, and you need to have more faith, or you're going to die in the desert like the older generations died in the desert. That's crappy. I think that it's a story that just says this is what it's like to be human. These people are scared. They're terrified, like us, like all of us. We have just been through a hell of a year. 2020 into 2021, we are not out of the woods on the pandemic. We are just getting started on a new presidential administration and a new Congress, and we're just trying to figure out how it's going to go, and we're hoping that there will be enough. I guess there will be enough. I hope there will be enough vaccinations for everybody. When? I'm not sure. When will Journey get to meet in person again? I don't know. What will Journey do now that I'm retiring? And what wonderful things will Journey imagine? We don't know all that, right? It's really scary not to know. I just like that the people in this story say, I'm scared. We're scared. And God says, I have heard the grumbling of my people Israel, to Moses. And this is what he says to them in the scripture that you heard earlier. I'm going to send you meat in the evening and bread in the morning, and then you will remember that I'm God, that I am the God who brought you out of slavery, that I'm the God who takes care of you. And I don't know about you, brothers and sisters, but I forget that all the time. How many things has God been with you to help you through, and then you forget? I forget all the time because I get scared again and again and again and again. And God says, here is how I want you to do this and still trust me without being sure that you get, okay, great. That you get that you're all taken care of now. You can build big silos. The manna will last for one day. The manna is bread. It's this leftover crust that comes from the secretion, the oils and the pollination and however else it works. I don't know how botanical stuff works. I started to read the rabbi.com article that I looked up about it to you, but anyway, there's a tree. It puts out some stuff. It looks like white dew. When it dries, you can collect it and you can eat it. And the story says it tastes sweet. Throughout the centuries, one of the traditions that the Jewish rabbis included in study of the Torah, the law that God gives Moses in this same story, Jewish law, when a boy, and now, thank you, when a young Jewish boy or girl begins study of the law of Moses, there's a drop of honey that's put on a letter of the Torah, or a page of the Torah, or a tablet of the Torah, or maybe it's just put on their tongue as they're reading. The first time that they encounter the Torah for themselves, the rabbi infuses that moment with honey. That there is a sweetness about connecting to God and God's provision and God's story. Manna is sweet. It's reassuring. It gives the people hope. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And there's no point in collecting it and keeping it because it only lasts one day. You'll have enough manna for one day. There'll be quails that come flying into the compound of tents every evening. Collect as many as you need for your tent and your people, your family only, and that's it, because the meat will spoil. It's a weird story. Do you know what I mean? It's a symbolic story. God will give you what you need today. Yeah, but I need an answer today. An answer is not one of the things that God promises. An answer to everything that I'm curious about or scared about is not part of what Jesus says in the Lord's Prayer. Give us today what we need today, not give us the plan. One of the things that's hard about being a faith community like ours is we don't make strategic growth plans, and we don't come up with gigantic, impressive, powerful ways to make sure everything will go a certain way. We listen a lot, and we listen to each other, and we're open, and our own ambition, when it crops up around fear and control, we do our best to let that go and to help each other let that go. But it's hard, right? Because we also want Journey or our lives or our relationships or our friendships or the way we show up in the world to be good, to be healthy, and to thrive. God says, we're going to travel through the wilderness as long as it takes to get the Egyptian slavery out of you. We're going to travel as long as it takes for you to learn to trust me, and to know that I am there with you. And the story says they ate manna and quail for 40 years until they entered the promised land. And even as they're entering the promised land, God warns them and says, you know what? You're going to go into this land and there's going to be plenty, and you're going to forget. You're going to forget that I'm the God that led you out of slavery in Egypt, and you're going to just think that it's all about you and that you accomplish this yourselves, that you have silos with grain in them and vineyards and fruit trees. And you're going to think that you did all this because you were so smart and so capable and so strong. And that's what we do, isn't it? How to remember not to be in that place of going 1 step, 5 steps, 15 steps, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years ahead. How to do that? Taste. Savor. Be present. Just here. Just now. Can you hear the birds? And the sound of the cranes and the tractors moving over there in Christina's and my neighborhood. I can hear cars. A few minutes ago, there was a man walking by, walking his dog, talking to his dog. I was concentrating here, but I could hear him and his dog being friends together. This is good coffee. It's hot. Not too hot. I don't like coffee that's too hot. I put Coffee Mate in it and a tiny bit of sweetener. I suppose at one level I'm drinking this coffee because it's going to help me achieve a goal. Wake up, get with it, get to work, get my sermon recorded, get the worship video finished and edited, blah, blah, blah. Uploaded to YouTube, hopefully the right channel, the right date. But I like this cup of coffee too. And the sound of these birds. And this little place in our side yard. And that little purpley green plant. And this dirt. And some sand. It's morning. It smells like morning. Cool front came. What does it mean to savor? It means to say, I'm willing to stop. Yes, but I need to collect. I need to be sure. I need to be, in which case I'm now not in my body anymore. Don't collect 2 days worth of manna and 2 days worth of grain. It will spoil. Just be here today. Be here now in this moment. God also, in this same story, invents the day off. I know you guys were slaves in Egypt. You didn't get a day off. I mean, is there any record that they know anything about taking a regular day off? I don't know what a week was like in Egypt, ancient Egypt. I mean, it's not necessarily that a week was 7 days long. God says, in the desert, I want you to take the 7th day off and do nothing. You can gather 2 days worth of quail and manna. The day off, I don't want you to do any work at all. I don't want you to figure out your plan. I want you to eat. I want you to make love. I want you to rest. I want you to pray. I want you to be with your families. Those are all instructions from the Torah about what to do on the Sabbath. I want you to rest and savor each moment that you're in. It's not a time for getting ahead of yourself. Don't you love that expression? You're getting ahead of yourself. You're not in yourself. So what's the antidote to all this worry and all this management, all these plans, all this TV? Savor. Be willing to trust something bigger than yourself. Don't get ahead of yourself. Be in yourself now. Just now. God is with you, and God has brought you out of slavery in Egypt over and over and over. Maybe that could be a way to savor, is to just get out some paper and write down with your hands. These are all the ways that God was with me. These are the times when I believed, when I got a sense that I was not alone. These are the times when people helped. Maybe the thing to do is just to eat a meal slowly, to be with creation, to be with what is around you. Savor. Be still. Be grateful. Be grateful. One more video.
We're starving, Aaron. How much longer must we suffer in the wilderness without food?
Be patient, Elisheba. My brother promised us the heavens would provide.
We are truly a blessed people. I will never again question the power of...
Hey, Aaron! Yay, Rufus?
Is this gluten-free manna?
Cometh again?
Well, I mean, I don't want to be that Israelite, but gluten hurts my tum-tum.
I'm sorry, I knoweth not.
Well, could you asketh Moses, though?
Dost thou really think that is the best use of his time?
Well, I mean, liketh in Egypt, I could say, hey, does this rotted maggoty bread haveth gluten? And they'd be like, no, we're not monsters, now get back to work. I don't know, it was nice having that peace of mind.
That was nice? When thou wert in forced servitude? Rufus, what?
Israelite 1, Israelite 2, reverse the Nile.
Is that all, Rufus?
I mean, he freed us from the Egyptians, now free us from the Eglutens.
Thou art trying my patience, Rufus.
I mean, did he even do an environmental impact study before he parted the Red Sea?
The Egyptian army madeth that a little difficult.
Oh, maybe he could get us some free-range chicken or a nice non-GMO salad, because I'm trying to watch with my carbs now that I'm not working out as much.
You mean now that thou art not in bondage?
I remember there was this one fitness class in Egypt where I just stomped mud and straw into bricks for hours every day for 10 years. Made my calves golden, if you know what I meaneth.
That's not funny.
The instructor was a real taskmaster.
He was literally a taskmaster. What doth it take for you people to be humbled?
Ow! That fiery serpent biteth me! Oh!
Rufus, this is a blessing. Listen, all you have to do to be healed is look upon...
No! I'm officially boycotting all non-recycled wood-based products, so I don't want to...
Only 39 years to go, honey.
Honey, that's what's in the manna. Are the bees local, though?
Depart.
What?
Get out. Just get out of my tent.
Sorry. Wait. We're gonna do some hot yoga on Sinai. Do you guys wanna?
No.
No? Okay. It's gonna be fun.